The Bible says the heart of man is terribly wicked. Who can know it? And I wanted to go into watching a particular video that you can see up here of one of the first speech done by President Emerson Mnangagwa. And I want us to learn something about the human heart and about how a person can say something and be completely divided about what he's saying. And I want to show, secondly, we need to be careful what we believe out of a person's mouth. Because there is parts that a person says that they actually believe, and there is another part that they say that is only meant for us to hear. I want you to note what are those things in President Emerson Mnangagwa's speech over here.
Today, we are witnessing the beginning of a new and unfolding democracy.
Democracy would imply something that involves all of us, okay? If it's a democracy, we all have a part, we all play a part. Are we all seeing or witnessing, as he says? Remember how he puts it. I want to go back a little bit and listen to how he puts it.
Today, we are witnessing the beginning of a new and unfolding democracy.
So this is why I ask. When he says we are witnessing a new unfolding democracy, did he mean him and his friends? Did he mean him and his family? Did he mean him and the people that are going to benefit from the Zimbabwean economy as it collapses? Did he mean him? Do you get what I mean? Who was witnessing it? Do you actually think he believes that statement? What do you think? Let me hear what the Mandams think. So remember, there are things that politicians say that some portions of them, it's only meant for our ears, for us to hear and believe. They don't actually ride like that. And you can see by what they have done. So President Mnangagwa has had 7 years. So now let's see on what he said here. Okay, let's continue.
Our country. I wish also to thank the manner in which our defense forces, under the leadership of General Chiwenga,
I want to just note this particular thing. It's not the most important part, but I find it quite interesting how, he said the defense force that, and then somebody screamed out Chiwenga, and he says it. He was going to get to saying it, but then it's very interesting for me, body language wise, that he says that and then he steps back.
Our country. I wish also to thank the manner in which our defense forces, under the leadership of General Chiwenga,
he says that, then he steps back. He says it, then he steps back.
And I want to say this to the television audience. I made my mistakes, but in all of my years of public life, I have never profited from public service. I've earned every cent. And in all of my years of public life, I have never obstructed justice. And I think, too, that I can say that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination, because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook. I've earned everything I've got.
If you don't know what I'm talking about, in body language, they say that when you actually say a statement and you don't actually stand by that statement, you distance yourself and you see it with many politicians who've made speech before. If I do have the clips here of Nixon as a perfect example.
They've been able to manage this process very disciplined, intense. But as he said, the will of the people will always succeed. As he said, the will of the people. That intention was intense. But as he said, the will of the people will always succeed.
At that part, the video cut on this particular thing. I'm watching the video from the Daily Mail World YouTube channel. So at that point, he says that, you know, speaking about the people that were ruling over the transition, and he says the will of the people shall always prevail. Now, I find that quite an interesting one. If the will of the people always prevails, right now the people are saying, I'm just asking, not the people you're with. What is the will of the people saying currently? So if the will of the people always prevails, right? There's this idea that, you know, when us as a people, sometimes we like saying things that are actually not very truly representative of everything. You know, we're speaking as a country. We speak as individuals in representation to a country, right? So you speak as an individual, but then to whatever you represent. Okay. So that's how we should actually be saying. So when he says the will of the people should always prevail, does he actually believe that? Because if he actually believes that, right now, we should see transition. It would actually make sense that we see transition because, according to his speech, the will of the people always, you understand what I mean.
To come together. We work together. No one is more important than the other. We are all Zimbabweans.
So no one is more important than the other. We are all Zimbabweans. This is why I say there are portions here you have to think about. Is this meant for just our ears? Or is this truly what he believes? Judging from the last couple of years, which one do you think it is? No one is more important than the other. Okay, so if no one is more important than the other, we are all just Zimbabweans, you know. Me also spiritually. Spiritually a Zimbabwean. And so, if so be the case that we are all Zimbabweans, we are just all equal, nobody is more important, then we should know that the majority has said, you know what, the minority that's in power right now, we're not feeling y'all. Shouldn't that be more important? But again, I asked, do you see why I mean when I say what I mean when I say there are certain things that are said, it's almost as if they are only meant for our ears. It's not that they are actually echoing truth that they believe, but it's only meant, but anyways. Let's continue on because the last statements I thought were poetry.
We want to grow our economy. Yes. We want the peace in our country. Yes. We want the jobs.
Which of those things have been achieved? Peace, jobs, growth of the economy. Which of these three? The currency, the ZIG currency has been started 2 times already. How far? We want peace. They were trying to protest yesterday peacefully. They were being shot at by the police. Peace. You know, and you would expect that the police would allow them, if nobody's more important than the other one, you would expect that they would be granted the right to go and protest. No, that was not allowed. So by that statement, you see, do you see why I doubt these things? So that's how the speech then ends. Bazalwane, out of this speech, I thought the speech says a lot. I thought the speech gives a lot of examples of something we should be aware of, something we should be alert of. There are certain things that are said only for our ears because we want them to be true. There are certain things we hear. If we were to hear them from a politician, we would trust them more. Not that they mean it, not that they will do it, not that they take it to heart what they have said. No, they only say it for the sole purpose that they know that we expect to hear it. They only say it for that reason. They speak it just for that reason. Now, if you go into the Bible, you see several examples of these things. You see several examples where you see people speak only for the pleasure of others. For example, in the book of Mark, chapter number 6, verse 22 up until 26, the king says something for the pleasure of his daughter and the pleasure of the people. Whatever you want, Salome, I will do. And Salome asked for some of the craziest things. She asked for the hair of John the Baptist. The king could not go back on his word, but he even though he did not want to do it, he did it now because now it is to the pleasure of the people. You see a perfect example of that. Something that completely he did not want to do, but he does it because of thing. And then also for seeking better approval, you see it in King Saul. King Saul loses the contact, loses fellowship with God as a result of his disobedience. And so what is the first thing that he does? The first thing that he does is to find a way to validate it for himself. Since God is not here anymore, I will find my own way to validate that he's here. You see that in 1 Samuel chapter number 19. It's very popular for leaders to say something that they don't actually believe. They can say it because they know it achieves something out of the people that they are speaking to. And we must be careful. What are we wanting to hear? You see, because it's very, it kind of becomes sad, yes. It becomes sad, yes, I know. And why do I say it becomes sad? It becomes sad because it feels draining to have to hear what you actually want and know that that might not actually happen. That's why it's so easy for people to come out and use race on us. We're enslaved, blah, 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 blah. Say something new, man. Yeah, they're going to use that because they know it pulls a string. That one pulls a string. Apartheid. It takes call Solomon Mahlangu if it's in South Africa. Solomon Mahlangu. They call those people who are known within the history of South Africa, and then we're like, yeah, man, this comrade is talking. Are they saying that because they believe that, or are they saying that because they know you're expecting to hear it? And once they know that they can say what you are already expecting to hear, they pretty much win you over. They can do whatever they want when they get there. They can do what is completely contrary to what they promised you. Because why? They only spoke to you about what they... It says, nobody's more special than the other. As patriotic Zimbabweans, we are going to work together. Oh, are we working together? Is it? Or were you being told what would get you to think you were valid or you were validated? Next time when we listen, You need to listen with a different ear. Does this person actually believe what he's saying? Or is he only saying this thing because he knows it's exactly what I want to hear?